So welcome everyone to the Monday webinar. So good to see you guys. Welcome to everybody. Warm and nice in Medellin, Colombia. Excellent. Welcome, Joe. Good to see you guys. Happy Monday. We have some great things to talk about today. I will just dig right into it. For anybody that's on for the first time, this is our Monday webinar. This is where I just get traders together so we can have some fun together and talk about some trades coming up this week. We have some good ones. We've seen some good ones that they just keep on coming. So it's all looking very super exciting. Very happy to see some of these markets set up and give us some dollar bills. We have, as always, lots of people from lots of places, different countries and time zones and languages and snow and not snow. And so, again, to all the New Yorkers, hopefully you guys are digging your way out there. I've seen pictures that, is there a ton of snow? It's supposed to get 24 inches of snow in New York. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, I don't know about that snow business. I don't know. It seems pretty cold. But very nice to see you all. Let's dig into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about. Couple of things. First off, I have done a horrific job in updating the blog lately. This is daytradersfx.com, where you can come if you go to the home button here. Actually, not the home button, because that'll just take you right there. If you go to daytradersfx.com, you can get signed up and join us for a free trial, and we'd love to have you this week. It's a great time to get a free trial because you can try the whole week out with us and see what you think about it. So you can get a free trial to the trading group. We have 2 levels of stuff. So if you click on Get Started here, we have our starter subscription and the standard subscription. So standard includes the live trade room every day, and the starter just includes trade alerts, mobile trade alerts, recordings of live sessions, and so on. So either way, we'd love to have you guys come in and join us. And likewise, so as I was saying, I've done a horrible job updating the blog. The last thing I posted was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It's been super crazy and busy, and I'm just way behind on that. But I have some great things to post for the blog, so I'll have that up this week for sure. But stop by the website. We'd love to hear from you and see, leave a comment, drop an email, anything. I'd love to hear from you guys. Okay, so again, in this webinar, we're just going to talk about the things that we're looking for this coming week. Now, these things change, right? I'm giving a general outlook of what I'm looking at, what I would like to get into, trades I would like to take, setups I'd like to see, so on. But news hits and things change, and so that's another great reason to get at least get a free trial to the trade group, because some of the things that I talk about, Tuesday, Wednesday, can kind of change and do something else, and we're there and we're up to speed with what these changes might be on these setups. This week is definitely a week of lots of news, lots of good important news. So starting Tuesday, we have our U.S. sessions. We've got durable goods, which is a big U.S. news item, so we've got that. Then we've got some other U.S. news Tuesday morning. Nothing too crazy in the afternoon, although actually that's not true. We have some Australian CPI numbers. We're very interested in Aussie pairs, so Aussie news will be a big deal. We have the interest rate announcement for the U.S. on Wednesday. Probably nothing is going to change there, but you never know. So we'll be live for that because right after that we have interest rate news for New Zealand, which could change things up just a little bit as well. So that is going to be exciting. So be ready for that. And then Thursday we've got a little bit of U.S. and Aussie news that'll be worth keeping an eye on. And then Friday we've got nothing too crazy, but some GDP numbers for the U.S. and Canada. So we'll see how that goes. So there's a bit of news. I sent around our trade. I started kind of tracking things a little bit differently fairly recently. So you can see, for anybody that's curious, the kinds of trades we take, kind of the duration of our trades. Are we in, for 5 pips? Are we looking for 100 pips? I sent out in the email today, and I'm going to post this on the website as well. This is just our track record from July 10th. That was the first trade I put in there, July 10th. And it goes all the way back. And you can see all our winning and losing trades. That was a painful one right there, 3 pips. But you can see some of the ugly trades. We've had some bad ones. There's a 50 pipper right there, and so on. And you can see, just get a feel for how we trade, the trades we take, the things we're doing, and so on. So that's in the email that I sent out this morning, and I'll post it on the website. And I'll continue to update that just so you guys can kind of get a feel for the types of trades we're doing, the things I'm posting, the so-ons and so forths. Thanks, Tom. Thanks. Yeah, we've had some good trades lately. I was looking in December and January has been I think there's about 1,200 pips in profit in the last 2 months. So it's been a pretty good little run. I love seeing these markets just cranking, and they are cranking. There's just trend everywhere. There's movement all over the place. It's awesome. I haven't seen this kind of market movement since 2008, when everything was just crashing and burning, and it seems like things really got kind of range bound, in large ranges, but still range bound since then. And it's great to see some big trending markets. And right now, it is time for following those trends and following central banks and just really keeping an eye on all of that stuff. Tell me about it, Adrian. My wife thinks the same thing. She thinks we should go on way more vacations. Yeah, it's nice to just, and it's a good reminder, too, that when you take a vacation, when you step away from the charts a little bit, you put your trades on, and you just kind of trust the setup to play out, it usually does pretty well. Most of the time, we're the ones that end up, and by we, I mean me, get in there and kind of get in the way of trades and so on. So let's talk about, I don't want to talk about every single pair today. I want to talk about a couple of specifics. Number one, the euro dollar. Still looking to sell rallies. We took a nice euro dollar trade on Thursday, I think, right back here where the ECB announced the quantitative easing, their version of some quantitative easing. So we took a trade at 115.65 and wrote it down to 11400, which was obviously a little too soon to be getting out, but it was a nice 165 pips. So we hit that nice little trade there, and it seems like how far down is the euro going to go? Is it done? Is it way overextended? We hit 110.96, I think, was the low, and it's bounced up a little bit. It's bounced up 150 plus pips. I am still on board, at least at this moment, for selling the euro more. It seems like it's probably way overextended and way overdone, and I am still very much on board for selling rallies on this euro dollar. I don't know where my entry is going to be just exactly, but I'm going to be selling rallies on this euro dollar. But I would like to see it get a little bit higher. If we could get back up above 11300, we have definitely some good resistance right here. We have our daily pivot at 114.37 with the 200 moving average. Some of those areas. One thing that I'm interested in seeing on this euro dollar is when and if it can kind of slow down a little bit. If we just look at maybe a short-term range like this and draw fib levels, those are all going to be kind of helpful things that we'll be doing. The big move on the euro, I don't know if this has bottomed out enough to start drawing some fib levels, but it's a long way down from that high, and you can see that our 23% fib, for example, is up here at 11800. I mean, there's a long ways for that one to go. So that one might be a little bit more of a big long-term picture. If we look at kind of these shorter-term setups right here, I think there's some pretty decent opportunities on this. So let's just keep our eye on this. Our 38% fib. Remember, if we start making a little bit of a run up, we could hit that 38% fib, which is up around 116.50, 60 area. Things like that could happen. So I don't have my exact area just yet. It's going to be price pattern dependent. It's going to be level dependent. It's going to be what's the news looking like when it happens dependent. So I can't really say where I'm going to get into this euro dollar. All I know is that I would like to continue selling this pair on any moves higher. So we're going to watch for it. We're going to watch some of these crucial levels, see where it goes, and then start selling the heck out of it again. And just write it down to 110 to 105. Why the euro wouldn't reach 1 to 1, why it wouldn't hit parity is beyond me. So I think the euro is very possibly headed down into that parity area. So that should be super exciting. There will be some great trading opportunities on this one. So let's just be ready for it. Let's just keep riding this thing down. It's going to be a great little trade when we get back into it. So we made some nice pips on it. We'll continue to make some nice pips on euro dollar, but it's going to be nice little nice little waiting game, I'd say, for a little bit. Yeah, I agree, Adrian. 110, 109, those are all great areas, and I think that's going to be a nice little spot. It's been so long, I don't even hardly remember if when I started trading the euro was down there. It has been so long that I just don't even remember it. But yeah, it looks like we did see some low areas there, but it's really looking good, and I think there's going to be some great opportunities on that. So remember, we just got to follow the fundamentals a little bit here. This is not going to necessarily be a great time to follow indicators like MACD or RSI or even my indicator. Because the trends are really strong right now. Now, nothing can run up forever or down forever, and so those will be good ideas to use those indicators to kind of just help us slightly identify those overbought or oversold markets. But really, what we need to follow is central banks sat on the sideline for so long, and now they're all stepping up or stepping back, and so there's really great opportunities there. The U.S. is at least at this point on track to hike rates. Europe has just started their QE program, which should be pretty bearish for the euro. Canada just lowered interest rates. We'll see what happens with Australia and New Zealand coming up shortly here. So great time to follow the central banks and be really cautious about indicators and really follow the momentum, follow the trend, and just take things from there. And Bo, that's a very good question, comment right there. I did see some emails. Most brokers have lowered the leverage on Swiss franc pairs a good amount. So Swiss franc pairs were at I think they had them like at 20 to 1 already anyways, and I think they're like 5 to 1. So the leverage is super low, or 10 to it's really low now. So if you're going to trade any Swiss franc pairs, plan on it eating up a big chunk of your account of your available margin. Because yes, and so thanks for bringing that up, Bo. Yeah, Swiss franc pairs have definitely they've hiked the leverage on those, and on a few other pairs as well, but specifically on Swiss franc. Okay, so that's euro. That's what we're looking for there. Pound, the pound dollar is going to give us some opportunities. I am liking this pound dollar, and I think it's going to be a good one to watch. I'm a little tiny bit less bearish on the pound. I'm a lot less bearish on the pound dollar than I am on the euro dollar. And I will be open to buying pound dollar breakouts as they happen. One thing that you can see here is this pound dollar has been running down like crazy. I still think it's going to hit this 148.00 area. We're just above 150 right now. I think it's coming down. I think it's going to hit that. We have a good chance of that trend taking over. But we also have just, my indicators showing us that we've made some pretty decent runs away from some of those areas. And the UK is not nearly as, especially the Bank of England is not anywhere near what the ECB has done. And Adrian, that's a super good comment. Yes, we would absolutely look at the euro pound in this case because the pound is holding on pretty well. There's still a good downtrend in play with the pound, which will be a little tricky on the euro pound pair because when they're both heading up or both heading down, then the euro pound gets really choppy. But I think the pound might be headed up a little bit, at least stabilizing for the moment, and that'll give a great opportunity on the euro pound. We'll definitely look at that chart. We have a nice little falling wedge right here, just a short-term one for the month of January. Falling wedge on pound dollar. If it starts breaking up above these areas here, I would be looking for, and I'm just going to watch this pretty closely, but I'm going to be looking for this to run up into the 15300 to 15400 area. We have some 200 moving average and missed pivots and so on up there. So this little falling wedge that just goes from the high of January on down, and the top trend line there. Should be a good opportunity to jump in and just buy the breaks of this pound dollar and take it up again into that 153 to 15400 area. Yeah, I like that. 145 and 148 are great areas to get long. And likewise, if we see moves up into the mid 150s, then I'm going to absolutely be looking for opportunities to short the pound dollar back down into the high 140s. So there's going to be some good opportunities to trade the pound dollar up and to trade it right back down again. So at the moment, we're looking for some price patterns. We'll see how this falling wedge ends up playing out. We'll look for some double bottoms. We'll look for other patterns to give us entries here, and then we'll start buying that thing up and then shorting it right back on down again. So pound dollar looks pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited about that one. I think it should be definitely a good one to keep an eye on. Quick look at dollar CAD here. We talked about this dollar CAD quite a bit. We took a trade on the dollar CAD, and now it's kind of doing some interesting stuff. So I'd like to buy some dips and then maybe sell some breaks. We'll talk about that. Yes, and yeah, good point, Adrian, on that. That monthly candle will be definitely good to watch. Dollar CAD. So we bought the break with the interest rate news last week. And remember, our charts and everything almost broke as this move up just skyrocketed and went crazy as Canada cut their interest rates by a quarter point. And the dollar CAD just shot up. Oil's still getting hammered. Canada has lowered interest rates. There's a strong uptrend in play that we do not want to trade against by any means. But this is where my buy the dips and maybe sell the breaks comes into play. It's pretty overextended in accordance to historic movements. And so that's where, when I look at this and I say, okay, this could continue up. We could continue up into the highs of 2008, 2009, which is up here around 130, which we could very likely be headed into. The dollar CAD is just on a major slide. But we have a pretty nice little rising wedge, which could give us kind of some short-term pullback. Yeah, we've got 4 arrows down. I mean, this thing is just overextended on every time frame, and so it's going to be a nice opportunity to be able to possibly sell the break of this last dip on the rising wedge move here. Maybe be short somewhere around or below 12400 for possibly a move down into 12300 or even a little bit below 12300, where we start to hit some support again, and we can take off from there and start buying this pair right back up. I would like to buy dollar CAD in the low 120s. I'd like to see 120, 12200, or even a little bit below that to start buying this pair. Again, it's going to be kind of dependent upon some retracement and so on. But if we got a little bit of news out of Canada and a couple of things that just gave us some temporary relief, that would be such a great spot to start buying this pair and trading it up towards 125 and then ultimately into 130. But it's going to have to pull back eventually. It's going to have to make a little bit of retracement, and so we're going to see how that goes. So I think 12400 is going to be our level to watch, and below that we should be able to get some nice opportunities to short this pair for at least 100 or 150 pips, and then we can start buying those dips once again. So it should be really good for that. So again, that is the dollar CAD, and the dollar CAD is looking super great for that. But remember, Canada, the Canadian dollar will probably see a little bit more weakness against the US dollar and possibly against a couple other pairs. So let's not get in any kind of long-term sell positions. Only short-term things with tight stops. We want to kind of continue on with this trend, which is pretty strong. One thing I want to mention real quick is the Aussie New Zealand, and then we're going to talk about some Swiss franc pairs. Aussie New Zealand is very much all over the place. It's pretty temperamental right now. It's definitely bouncing around quite a bit here. I still think the Aussie New Zealand is just the best pair we could be trading at all right now. So we have some big Australian news this week. We have some decent sized New Zealand news. We have interest rate announcements and central bank stuff and so on. If New Zealand for some crazy reason lowered their interest rates, that would cause a massive move on our Aussie New Zealand and just make it super fantastic and excellent. But if for some reason they don't do it, or they maybe even hike rates, who knows? We're going to be watching this Aussie New Zealand and looking for opportunities to buy more at lower prices down in the 10400s. But right now, let's just see what happens. We'll see kind of the levels still between 105 and 10600 are great areas to buy. We've been in and out of this pair 3 or 4 times already, and we're going to just be getting right back into it again and again and again. So keep an eye on 105 to 10600 for opportunities to buy those dips and just let this puppy ride. Yeah, and that's a good point, Adrian. Definitely, the CPI news is coming out, interest rate news, all of that stuff. So I still love the Aussie New Zealand, but it needs to dip down just a little bit more. And again, I would like to kind of watch this and see how it behaves and see how the news hits and so on. Yes, Bo. Yep. We'll keep those hedges in place. Absolutely. So we'll see how we'll see how the news goes and just kind of what happens here, and then we'll be ready for any kind of activity on this Aussie New Zealand. It's going to be exciting, going to be fantastic. Super looking forward to it. Okay, so just a quick note on Swiss franc pairs. I talked about this in the trading group probably 5 times last week, maybe a little bit more, and then I totally missed it myself. So I hope somebody that was listening took advantage of these fantastic little setups that happened, because I sure didn't. I just missed everything. The dollar Swiss franc, for example, Jan got in. She did get a good job, Jan. You did get a good entry on this one. There were definitely some really good opportunities here. Remember, we've got our nice little 23 to 38% fib trade that just works out so well. And so we talked about last week the fact that if the dollar Swiss franc, there we go. If the dollar Swiss franc breaks above this 23% fib, which is around 8,800 on the dollar Swiss franc, that would be a buy opportunity up into 90 plus. And you can see that it broke like crazy, and it did run up 200 plus pips, and just made a fantastic little move there. I still think that this is all very valid and very great, and I'm still looking for opportunities to buy dips on dollar Swiss franc. I think that this movement, for the most part, is going to be somewhat erased, at least half of it. And so I'm still looking for a move up into at least that 50% fib, which is up around 9,300. So if we get any dips down to 8,900, 8,850, right around there, I'll be buying dips on dollar Swiss franc on that one. But it did make that initial run and played out 200 pips very quickly. Over several hours. It was a really great little move, and it worked out nicely. So I'm still, at least at this point, I'm going to watch price patterns, because that's always a big deal. But at this point, I'm interested in buying dips on dollar Swiss franc, and we'll kind of see how that plays out with some of the coming news. But that's my general idea of movement for the moment. Again, I think that big dip down is going to be eaten up by a lot of retracement, and we want to be in on that retracement back to the upside. So let's look at opportunities to buy the dip on dollar Swiss franc. Now we'll watch these price patterns again, and if trend lines start to break and so on, we're going to be really careful and kind of just be cautious with that. But there should be a pretty nice opportunity to buy that dip on that dollar Swiss franc. Good, Adrian. Those are some great. Yeah, those Swiss franc trades they just went like crazy. Glad you got in a bunch of those. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And the same exact thing happened on the pound Swiss franc. As my charts freeze up, the pound Swiss franc looked exactly the same as the dollar Swiss franc. We had that 38%, or excuse me, that 23% fib from that big move down. It broke above it, which was a nice little resistance level, and ran up a couple hundred pips. Looks like something is frozen up. Apparently running 10 programs on my computer at the same time is kind of hard. But anyways, that's what happened on the pound Swiss franc. And so I'm just looking for the same type of a setup on the dollar Swiss franc as on the pound Swiss franc, which is buying a little bit of that retracement back towards, there we go. Buying a little bit of that retracement back towards a 23% fib, which in this case is just above 13300, about 133.15, 133.20. You can see it made a nice big move up there as soon as it broke that resistance in that 23% fib. But on a little bit of retracement, a little bit of pullback, I'd like to get in and buy some dips, probably below 13400. Seems like a lot, but that's not that's not a huge move for the pound Swiss franc. Remember, this thing is just a wild animal of a mover. And so that retracement back into 133.50 to 13400 will be a super good spot to start buying this pound Swiss franc again. Yeah, and resistance has absolutely become support. And so we're looking at that, and I'm looking definitely for the pound Swiss franc to at least reach about 137.45, and I think that's going to be a fantastic little move there. And yes, with Swiss franc pairs, be ready for anything, because definitely anything could happen. We have to be ready for those. But you know, the Swiss National Bank has already started talking about the fact that they might be starting to dabble in some currency devaluation and so on. So we have to be ready for anything crazy on Swiss franc pairs, but in kind of a short-term basis, keep your stops fairly tight and just look for these breakouts and trade the heck out of this thing. And it's going to be just both of these, dollar Swiss franc and pound Swiss franc, should be just super, super great opportunities. So I'm loving those ones. So just at this point, looking to buy dips on dollar Swiss franc and buy dips on pound Swiss franc. As far as the rest of these go, we're definitely going to be talking about the dollar yen this week. I don't know exactly what I want to do with this one just yet, but I would like to buy some dollar yen. And I think we're going to have a pretty good opportunity for it. So that's going to be something that will be covered in the trade group. But I am liking it. I do like this level as well, 115.50 area. That's turned out to be a pretty nice strong level on the dollar Swiss franc. If we end up breaking, on the dollar yen, if we end up breaking that, we could see some very nice moves down into 11200 area, so that would be a great little opportunity there. But likewise, I'm watching some trend lines and just looking for a couple of things to maybe buy some dips or buy some breaks on dollar yen. And I'll be looking at the same thing on a couple of the other yen pairs, pound yen and so on. So let's be ready for that. Those are kind of my main focuses for this week, and I think they're going to be pretty great. It's going to be all about euro dollar, pound dollar, getting into a little bit of dollar CAD, and taking some Swiss franc pair trades, and again keeping an eye on the yen pairs. So we should have some opportunities. We've got some live news announcements that we'll be doing for the group this week as well, and it should be pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to it. Should all be very, very exciting. And hopefully we'll make some nice pips this week as well. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Questions, comments, let me know. Let's talk about it. I will post this recording shortly, as soon as it formats and uploads. And I'm ready for any questions or comments. Any pairs I missed, anything you guys want to discuss, let me know.